My local league got new field tiles this year, so I'm out and about today doing one of the tasks you need to do when you get new field tiles, which is to cut the teeth off the perimeter of the field, but not in the way you would normally do it. I want to give a big thank you to the coach of Team 9277 and 10650 for coming up with the idea to do it this way and for lending the tools to get it done. Normally, you take a sharp blade and you cut the teeth along the perimeter of the field one by one, and that's it. However, this poses a few problems because it's easy to be inconsistent when you're cutting. You need a very sharp blade in order to do it smoothly, and it just takes some time. So instead, if you have access to one, you can use a bandsaw, and that's what we did today. Of course, not everyone has a bandsaw. I certainly don't have one, so I'm lucky enough that one of our local teams does have one in their workshop, and they were able to let us use it for this purpose. Now, if you're going to use a bandsaw to cut the teeth off these tiles, you have to know what number of tiles need to be cut in which configuration, because when you're using a knife, often what you'll do is you'll set up all of the tiles, and it's very easy to see visually which teeth need to be cut because they're around the outside of the field. But when you're using a bandsaw, necessarily you're cutting the tiles one by one, while they're not configured in a full field. So it's easy to cut too many, for example, and you'll probably be going out and buying some extra tiles if you do that. So just remember that you need 4 corner tiles and 16 side tiles. When you put all those together, along with all the uncut tiles, you'll have a full field. And of course, if you're cutting a half-field set of tiles, then adjust those numbers appropriately. It's helpful if you have 2 people to do this, one person to actually move the tile through the bandsaw, safely, of course, use all of the proper safety equipment and safety procedures when you're doing this, and one person off to the side just to take the tiles from them when they're done cutting and hand them the next one. As with any destructive action that you take, it's important to measure twice and cut once. What Andy Mark recommends you do with their tiles is set up the field perimeter on top of the tiles before you cut them, and actually see where the corners of the field perimeter land. That will give you a good guide to where they should be cut. And you should move the perimeter a bit so that it's even on all 4 sides so you get a nice, good average measurement. Because it could be that you need to leave a portion of the teeth on the tile in order for it to sit snug against the side of the perimeter. Once you've done this measurement and you know exactly where you want to cut those teeth, you can set the guide on your bandsaw to exactly that mark, and you'll get a nice, clean, consistent cut for all of the tiles. While you're at it, this may be a great opportunity to label the tiles. So for example, if the tiles belong to a league, you may want to write the name of the league on each tile so it doesn't get confused with any team tiles that it comes into contact with. I'm going to take that one step further this year and actually label the tiles based on their position on the field, like A1, A2, etc. So that once we get those tiles taped, it's very easy to get them back in the right configuration. So if the tape happens to still be okay from the last time we used them, we don't have to redo it. All of this, to be honest, are steps that I have taken hastily on the day of the first competition for whatever season we got the tiles in the past. So don't feel bad if you haven't taken these steps before. If you happen to have access to the field tiles before you're in a rush, then it can be nice to take the time to cut them using a bandsaw and label them appropriately. So that's another task done, getting ready for our first competition of the season. Thank you again to teams 9277 and 10650 for letting me use their bandsaw in order to cut the teeth on these tiles. I can't wait to use these tiles at the field.